Well, hello. Good afternoon. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to address you today regarding our company, Audientes. We're a Danish technology company founded on the belief that by employing, you can say, smart innovation and clever skills, we can help a lot of people around the world, millions to be frank, to get better hearing at an affordable and accessible manner. We've put together a little, you can say, flow. You've probably seen it before today, so it should take us through the entire Audientes story, you can say, from the problem through to what is it that we're offering and where are we going from here. Now, the problem we're addressing is that there is 500 million people in the world today, roughly, with disabling hearing loss. And there's only around maybe a fifth of those people today has a fix, a solution for their hearing loss. So there's a very large amount of untreated hearing loss in the world, and that's what we are seeking to address. The current industry, which actually consists of around 5 major players plus a number of smaller ones, they're only selling around 17 million products per year. Since most people need 2 hearing aids to hear well, you can see that it's maybe around 9 to 10 million people every year that get a solution. This means that they will never catch up with the actual need in the market. So WHO are projecting that this is going to increase the number of people with hearing loss to around 700 million people in 2050. So it's very clear that there is this gap and it's only going to increase. What we are seeking to address initially is the very large populations in Asia that you can say accounts for around 60% of the world's population with hearing loss. Now, the current industry addresses primarily Western high-income countries, including, of course, Japan, which is in Asia and East. But basically, they are not really having a focus on addressing that need. They're very happy, you can say, in an industry with high margins and relatively low unit sales. And that, as we know, is not the recipe in a market that is changing rapidly and is, you can say, more oriented towards consumer purchasing. So why are not more people getting a good solution for the hearing loss? Well, it's a lot to do with price. A good hearing aid can cost around $500 for one pair and maybe up to $6,000 for 2. So for a lot of people, that's outside their reach. What many people do, you can say, is to resort to more inexpensive solutions, what we call pure amplifiers, which basically destroys good hearing where they have them. Now, there's also a shortage of hearing experts in the world. In a country like India, there's around 2,000 hearing experts for a population of 1.4 billion people, and maybe between 75 and upwards towards 100 million people with hearing loss. So it's very clear people who can help a person with hearing loss are very few and far between. And furthermore, the process, if you happen to find a hearing expert, is very complicated and is full of steps and repeated visits to the clinic or so forth. Now, what I'm trying to show here is that the ordinary steps has got many individual steps that a person has to go through. What we have done in Audientes, we have looked at this and we have digitized it, built it into a self-contained offering whereby if a person get hold of our hearing aid, in a matter of 5 to 7 minutes, they can have run the built-in hearing test and be up and running with a good solution for their hearing loss. Now, our initial product that I have an example with me here is called Ven. As you know, that means a friend in our sort of languages here. Someone that is always with you, can help you when you need it. And Ven is essentially, doesn't look like a hearing aid, but it looks like more of a, you can say, headset, or as people call it nowadays, an advanced hearable as well. So kind of like a smart design, more oriented towards consumer electronics, and it doesn't have all this, you can say, the stigmatization involved as many hearing aids do. That is part of our, you can say, advantages. Now, the platform we have built this on, we have developed. It's hardware and software, and it addresses everything a person needs to address hearing loss, plus it doubles as a really good solution for listening to music and, you can say, TV sound and so on from a smartphone or a TV. It's leveraging the industry standard algorithms for making a hearing test, but it's also fitting using a protocol NL2, industry recognized. So it means that the fit a person gets from running this built-in hearing test is really good. It's at par with what many experienced audiologists can actually fix. So this is our solution. Has many features to it that I won't go through here. But I would say maybe getting it back to, so where are we today as a company? Well, we were founded in 2014 as Nokia closed down its R&D site in Copenhagen. Some clever people, including our founder, Hossein Jelvi, started to look at what can we do to help people around the world. And Hossein settled on this idea of looking at hearing loss and how to build high-quality product that can sell at an affordable price. This is the mantra from the mobile phone industry, at least in those days. And this is what we have been employing since then. So we developed, we got angel funding. We eventually brought a prototype to market, kind of like out showing it to companies and individuals in 2018. And we developed further, and we got listed at the Nasdaq First North growth market in Copenhagen in 2018. So we got, 2020, and we got the fuel to further develop and bring to market our initial offering. Now, since the beginning of this, you can say, first half, of course, we have been engaging in India. So we turned over the first revenue at the end of the first quarter, and basically by the second quarter we had turned over around 1 million Danish kroner in revenue. Now we've just announced today that the third quarter this year for us has seen another 2 million being added to that. So we are on a really good trajectory now to build a business initially out of India, because India, this is what we have been focusing on. There's history to that, but basically we got an opportunity to get a grant that helped us develop and test the solution in India. Now we've learned a lot about the Indian market since then and built up an organization based in Hyderabad, but with around 500 points of sales around India today, 80 or so retail and distribution partners, which means that today we have a really good presence in this market, which I think is super interesting. Now, the initial market we focused on India is sort of, you can say, the medical grade hearing aids space. It's a very interesting opportunity for us because India has got, you can say, rules that allows us to engage in that market early on in our development. And we are now participating alongside existing, you can say, big brands in the hearing aid clinics channel, because that channel know that there's a lot of people that comes into their store that can't afford the solutions they have on the shelves. So what the experienced clinic says, that we like to offer them a good quality solution that doesn't compete with everything else we have. Furthermore, it's a low complexity product, which means it's an easy sale. And that is why we are right now focusing on growing that particular channel in India. Now, at the same time, we are also aware that in order to launch a product fast in other markets, it would be great benefit if we could do that without having to go through the medical approval process in markets like the US and Europe. So what we are doing now, we're launching a product that essentially is the same, you can say, physical shape. It has got some software adjustments to it. So it's a new offering from a market point of view, and we call it Companion, which fits into the market area called advanced hearables. Advanced hearables are basically consumer electronics devices that can help a person hear better in different situations. So you can call it a hearing enhancer and so on, but it's a product that essentially will help, we think, a lot of people listen to what is important. And that is what we are focusing on in this fourth quarter. We have just entered, so we'll be launching Companion and starting to also engage in markets in our part of the world as well as in the US going forward. I think that's super exciting. It gives us many more strings to play on. Now, going to market as a company here for us, as I said, we have chosen initially to work with the sort of classic channels for hearing aids in India. At the same time, we have also launched e-commerce platform in India, which will be also employing globally. But essentially, we are present with an approved brand store on Amazon, and we're selling through Flipkart and IndiaMart, which are two of the other large platforms in India. So we're getting a lot of experience with how to move products through the different channels. Now, you can say, as a company, of course, we are essentially a development house, but we're also using a Swedish-owned manufacturer in China who are producing these products to our specifications and helping us, you can say, make them at an affordable price for us, which means that we can give our different retail partners and distribution partners a good margin. So everyone that we work with is interested in bringing this solution out because they see both the benefits to their business, but they also see it sort of as a good way of earning a good income. Now, the people we are helping, of course, is very much hearing impaired people. And of course, when you have hearing loss, there's a lot of things that becomes difficult. It becomes difficult following a conversation, participating in you can say, in normal life in society. And for many people, if they are sort of in the working age, they will have difficulty keeping up a job if they can't afford a hearing aid. So by doing what we do, we have this, you can say, really focus on hitting a lot of these strategic development goals from the UN right on, and we're using that in our positioning in the markets, but also how we actually think about how we go to market. I would say the other channels we are now starting to explore include the more, you can say, consumer-oriented channels like pharmacies, optician chains, and consumer electronics channels. And that is what we have started actually now. We launched that with a partner in India on Friday in the pharmacy, a large chain in southern India that are starting now to have our product on the shelves together with other kind of appliances like blood pressure measurements and so on. So for us, we see a lot of opportunities in scaling our access to market going forward. Now, of course, there's a lot of important things in what we do, and one of the most important things, of course, are the people behind the company. We have a very strong board. Now, I could put up many more logos because a lot of the people we have been in very important parts, you can say, in their life, in very important roles, and done quite amazing things. And I've just brought a few of, you can say, evidence on where people have been, where they're coming from. I would say there's a very large concentration of people with experience from Nokia in us and Microsoft. So it means that people that have created both consumer appliances and worked with software and hardware is very much in you can say, amongst us. Paul Andre, who sits down there, of course, also works with the Seahouse Capital on a day-to-day basis, is chairman of our board. And I would say Peter Röpke, for example, has been the global head of all R&D at Nokia, so like 11,000 plus people, and is bringing a lot of his expertise from that and where he is today in RTX in Denmark into the equation. Catherine, who sits over there, is our Chief Marketing Officer, and you can say we have assembled a team that has got a lot of expertise from having worked with bringing out excellent products and solutions to the market. And I would say, if I look at the lower part of the slide here, people with the experience from the classic hearing aid industry, from e-commerce, and from having designed great products is really what we have amongst us. So I would say very strong team, presence in India and in Denmark, and you can say we are not finished growing that organization, of course, but we are a lean and strong team working with great external partners. Now, our roadmap, you can say, what have we done so far this year? Where are we going? As I mentioned, we have brought a product to market, made the first sales. We are growing that quarter by quarter, and we entered new channels and have also grown. Even just since the end of the second quarter, we've added around 150 points of sales in India, and we are not finished with that. So we're really adding access to market as well as good partners that we are training to understand and handle the product. Now we're launching Companion in the fourth quarter, so it means that we get this other leg to stand on, entering new markets. Going forward, one thing is what we have today. This is the initial product from Audientes. We have got plans on different form factors, and of course, you can say many other clever things, but what is really paramount to us is to get in with the medical device approvals in markets like the US. There's something really exciting happening there in the over-the-counter hearing aid space, new rules, new opportunities. So we're going to enter that next year with an FDA-approved hearing aid for that market. And as we're going forward, we are, of course, adding more channels and more markets. And out in the horizon is also the European approval scheme, MDR, which, of course, is a big step up for a young company, but this is what we're aiming at in the time frame of 2024 and 25. So I think this is what I had put together today of, you can say, the initial introduction to Audientes. I hope you found that interesting, and I'm looking forward to your clarifying questions. Thank you very much.
Excuse me. Would you mind taking a step
absolutely.
Inwards? Thanks. I always like company who brings props so you can see the product.
Yes.
What events or accomplishments during this year so far are you most proud of?
Well, I think for any company that has been working, you can say for the time we have on making a product, the fact that we could initially ship a product to a customer and send an invoice, that was a fantastic experience. So that was for us one of these clear milestones that you will never forget.
Could you explain and try to depict who is the typical customer who goes and buys your product?
Yeah, that's a good question. So our typical customer would be someone with what is called age-related hearing loss. So that is when you get a bit older, like you can say that I am, your ability to listen to certain frequencies will start to degrade. And it's typically the higher end of the spectrum. but it doesn't have to be. But a person that is getting a bit older and you know, starting to not being able to follow conversations, maybe at home or when listening to TV, the volume has to be turned up loud. That has been our key aim initially. Now, what we've learned from India is that hearing loss in India, people don't really care about mild hearing loss. When they really cannot hear a lot, that's when they seek a solution. And so we are, you can say the fact that we are addressing up to severe hearing loss as well has been one of our enabling, you can say, factors for getting into those channels. And they're kind of pushing for higher amplification so we can go up towards what is called profound hearing loss. So it's different profiles, but overall the common denominator is sort of like an age-related hearing loss, or maybe other types of hearing loss early on in life would also kind of lend itself to our solution. There are some types of hearing loss that you need really specialized solutions for, but this can cover a lot of the spectrum.
What kind of competitors do you have, and what do you have that they don't?
That's a good question as well. So I think we are pure play around self-fitting as a concept. So basically being able to buy a product, run a built-in test, and take it into use. Now, the existing players in the industry, of course, we have 3 large hearing aid companies in Denmark. That's not whom we are seeing as our competitors. We're seeing them doing what they do really well, but there's this very large area that is really not addressed very well. And there's probably a handful of companies in the world that are looking at this seriously, and we are one of the 5, so to speak. Some of them are from Australia, the US, and so on, and many of them are doing products in different form factors from us. So I would say we are the only one in the Indian market today offering a solution like this. So whether you can say whatever you feel about different form factors, we definitely have something that is unique. And of course, we'll take it from there and introduce other novel concepts going forward. But that's where we are today.
Peter, do you have further questions for Sten?
Yeah, you actually stole the 2 of my questions, Albin.
Okay.
Sorry.
But I have one question for you, Sten. And nice to finally meet you in person, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
So we believe most of your potential customers are not that educated when it comes to your value proposition.
Yeah.
So what marketing activity do you believe will be the key driver for generating sales, and why?
Very good question. So one thing that we have talked about today, Catherine and I, has been that there is many people are waiting too long to get a solution for their hearing loss. I mean, the industry talks about 10 years too late. So what we are going to do more of is to educate people from our own website properties on hearing loss and how you can find an easily accessible solution for that. Now, when we're going into other markets like the Western markets, I think the milder to moderate hearing loss category will be kind of more important to also talk ourselves into. So we will continue to do that, but what we're doing right now is we're working with our channel partners in India who are the ones that knows a lot about hearing loss. And we, of course, training them to understand and you can say buy into the concept. Now, we can see that's the acceptance is definitely happening. And once they feel comfortable about this, they are interested in presenting customers with that solution. So that's what we're doing. That's the way we can best scale, through our own web properties and like articles and so on. And when we do articles, that helps customers find us on the internet when they're searching. I mean, hearing loss is one of the things that most people will search about when they are having either a relative with hearing loss or when they're getting it themselves. So it's a very, you can say, high interest item. And beyond that, I think education of the channels is also critical. Yeah.
Good answer. And since you are now done with the development phase for your products, most of your operating costs will probably be marketing. Yes. Is that correct? And can we expect positive EBIT margins soon, or when do you think that will happen?
Yeah, our aim has always been to reach that point in 2024. Okay. Yeah, but I think we all understand the importance of having a good business case and earning healthy revenue on on every product and good margins too. So that's what we are very focused on all the time. But there is a level of investing in the market development and getting scale, and for us those curves will kind of meet a bit later in like within the next 24 months really. So
good answers. So to summarize Audientes as an investment case, the company is located at an exciting inflection point since it started the journey as a company in commercial phase in March 2022. The company has a clear value proposition towards its target group, which is predominantly people with mild to severe hearing loss in emerging markets. The primary risk we see is that Audientes products might become commoditized commoditized, which in turn, all else being equal, will lead to price pressure and margin compression. One key figure that we find very compelling in Audientes is that the founder is operationally active as the CTO, so we therefore find both skin in the game and also probably soul in the game. Moreover, we believe the broad distribution network entails a moat to the overall business operations, since this entails barrier to entries for new competitors. So thank you, Albin, and thank you, Sten, and good luck going forward.
Thank you.
Sten Tygesen,
Thank you.
Audientes.